in docket 22-01702. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Good morning, Your Honor. Natalie Maycomber on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. John Abbott with the Indian County Public Defender's Office representing Mr. Brundage. He is present and sitting to my right.
Right, and you are you are Robert Brundage. This is the time set for a probable cause conference. Ms. McComber, how are we proceeding?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that both the people and the defense will be unconditionally waiving their right to hold a preliminary examination in this matter. We'd ask the case be bound over on the charges in the complaint. There is an offer to place on the record, if I may, Your Honor.
Sure.
That offer that the defendant would plead guilty to count 1. Upon successful plea and sentence, the people would dismiss count 2.
And that would happen in circuit court.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Abbott, is your understanding of the plea agreement at this point in time?
That's correct.
Negotiations are going to continue?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Abbott, may I inquire of your client about the waiver of the preliminary examination?
Yes.
So, Mr. Brundage, did you understand that this is a probable cause conference and you're set for preliminary examination on this file next week, I believe? This is probable cause conference?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. It was typed as opposed to written. So you're set for preliminary examination on July 14, 2022 at 8:30. You understand that, sir? All right. There's certain rights that come with having a preliminary examination. A preliminary examination is a probable cause hearing in which the prosecutor would have to prove by probable cause evidence that a crime was committed and that the identity of the person who committed that crime. Do you understand that? You, of course, would be represented by Mr. Abbott. You would have a hearing and you would contest the charges and you would be able to cross-examine anybody who's brought against you during that proceeding. Do you understand that, sir? Okay. If you waive your right to that preliminary examination day, you will not have that preliminary examination. You'll be bound over to circuit court, and in circuit court, negotiations are going to continue. There is an offer on the table right now of a plea to count 1 and dismiss count 2. That would be up to further negotiations in circuit court. Do you understand that, sir? Okay. Do you wish to waive your right to preliminary examination day? All right. Ms. McComber, any comments on the waiver of preliminary examination?
Your Honor, just the people also waive their right to have a preliminary examination.
Thank you. Mr. Abbott?
Nothing further.
All right. I find your waiver to be freely, knowing, and understandably given. The plea agreement has been indicated for the record for right now. It's to ongo in circuit court. The prosecutors also waived their right to preliminary examination. Any further dates in circuit court will come from Mr. Abbott, okay? So the key here is to stay in contact with Mr. Abbott. So your next date will be in circuit court. Do you understand that? All right. Ms. McComber, anything else for the record?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Abbott?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you, sir.
Yeah. Right.
In the jail, are you Jaquan Robinson,
No,
sir? Okay, what's your name, sir?
Daryl Roby.
Daryl Roby. All right, thank you. Mr. Rothstein, you had the opportunity to speak with your client?
I have, Your Honor.
All right, I think in the jail, they have to bring him back because they got to touch the monitor for him. And then we'll get started on your case. Or did you need to speak with Ms. McComber at all?
I spoke to her a little earlier.
All right, then stand by and we'll put everything on the record.
Okay, thank you. Natalie? He is going to ask me to address bond. I just wanted to let you know.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Rothstein, we'll proceed with your client next. So
Thank
we're on
you.
the record in docket 22-01724. That's people, the state of Michigan versus Daryl L. Roby. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Good morning, Your Honor. Natalie Maycomber on behalf of the people.
Jeffrey Rothstein on behalf of Darrell Roby. I am appearing via Zoom, and I believe he will be appearing via Polycom from Ingham County Jail.
Correct. And sir, you are Daryl L. Roby II?
Correct.
All right. And you can hear me all right, Mr. Roby?
Yes.
All right. This is the time set for a probable cause conference in this matter. Ms. McComber, how are we proceeding today?
Thank you, Your Honor. It's my understanding that we will be leaving this case on for preliminary examination next week. There is no current offer to place on the record except for that the defendant would plead guilty to count 1 with negotiations as far as any sort of sentencing agreement to continue in circuit court.
And Mr. Rothstein, that's your understanding today?
That is correct, Your Honor. Just for the record, I received this case at 4 p.m. yesterday. I do not even have the discovery. So at this point, if there are any discovery issues, I will be talking to the prosecutor on that. We can leave it on for prelim for next week, and that would be at 9 a.m., correct?
Correct. Correct.
And
So, Mr. Roby, just brief inquiry. We're leaving this prelim on. We're leaving this case on for prelim next week on July 14th, 2022 at 9 a.m. Any questions you have, you should direct to Mr. Rothstein. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. So anything else for the record in docket 22-01724, Ms. McComber?
Nothing from the people, Your Honor, but I do believe defense is making a motion on bond.
Okay, Mr. Rothstein, did you want to be heard on bond?
I do, Your Honor. I've just spoke to my client. He's a 36-year-old male. His bond right now is $7,500 cash surety. I believe his charges are a CCW charge. He is working right now at All Ports Movers, has been for 2 years. It is my understanding from talking to my client, he's been in jail almost 2 weeks. He has told me he's never failed to appear in court. He does have a gun charge from back in 2018 and a little bit of a juvenile record. 7,500 cash surety is a little much for him or his family to come up with, even with a bondsman. I would ask that you reduce it so that he can post bond, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. McComber, response?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the defendant has actually only been in jail since June 29th, so that would be 8 days in jail. I'm showing that his bond is set at 7,500, 10%, not cash surety on 7,500 itself. Your Honor, in this case, the allegations involve the defendant in response to a 12-year-old child riding a motorbike down the street, produced a handgun, and then when police made contact, left that loaded handgun in a liquor store or a shopping mart on the corner for other children to potentially find. Luckily, law enforcement were able to locate that firearm and secure it. It's my understanding, Your Honor, that based on the history in this case, as far as Mr. Roby's criminal history, and then the allegations against him, that bond is appropriately set at $7,500, 10% in this file.
Yeah, I've looked at the nature of the charge, and then I looked at Magistrate Milmore's bond set, and I don't think, I don't see anything to indicate that it's an unreasonable bond at this time. It is 7,500, 10%. And so I'm gonna leave the bond as is. Of course, that can be revisited at preliminary examination, but for now, the nature of the charge and the fact that Magistrate Milmore said it, and I think it's a reasonable bond on this, but it is set at 10%. So it's not 7,500 cash, it's 7,500
Understood.
or 10%. I'll deny the motion. Anything else for the record on docket 2201-724? Ms. McComber?
Nothing from the people. Your Honor.
Anything, Mr. Rothstein?
Nothing, Your Honor, except may I have a quick breakout room with my client? I think we're done with the case,
Yes.
but
Yeah, so we can put yourself and your client. Mr. Roby, keep in contact with Mr. Rothstein, and we'll place you both in a breakout room so you can speak after this hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right. That's all for the record in this file. in docket 22-01488. That's people, the state of Michigan versus Alonzo Jones. Will the parties please introduce themselves for the record?
Good morning, Your Honor. Natalie Maycomber on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. John Abbott with the Ingham County Public Defender's Office, representing Mr. Jones. He is present and seated to my right.
And sir, you are Alonzo Jones? All right. This is the time set for preliminary examination today. Ms. McComber, how are we proceeding?
Correct, I understand that we will be proceeding with a preliminary examination today. People are ready to proceed. We will have 4 proposed exhibits. I have shown them to defense and they are pre-marked as people proposed 1 through 4.
All right. Is that your understanding, Mr. Abbott?
Yes, it is. Your Honor.
So if there's no further issues, the people may call their first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Hemintker Bot. That's spelled Hemantkumar, last name Bhatt.
Sir, I'm going to have you come right in front of me. And your name is?
Hemant Kumar Bhatt.
Okay, I'm going to have you raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? All right, sir, you can have a seat right here. I'm going to ask you to keep your voice as loud as you can because we're recording this, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bhatt, can you spell your first and last name for the record, please?
Hemant Kumar Bhatt. BHAT.
All right. So get as close as you can to the microphone
I'm sorry.
and you can remove your mask so we can hear you.
Thank you.
Okay.
And can you spell your first name for the record, please?
Hemant Kumar, Hemantkumar.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatt.
Last name BHAT.
Thank you. Mr. Bhatt, where are you employed?
Super in Lansing, Michigan.
And is that located at 910 American Road?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's a motel?
Yes.
Do you own that motel?
Yes.
Who do you own that motel with?
My wife.
Were you at the motel on June 6, 2022?
Yes, I was.
When you were at the motel in the evening hours, did something happen that made you feel the need to call police?
Yes.
And can you describe to the court what that was?
Yes, someone just told me that get into the room and I went into there and he said lay down and he started hitting me.
I'm gonna back up a little bit. When you say somebody told you to get into the room, how did you make contact with that individual initially? When did you first see him?
I thought he's the one who is purchasing the room, so I came up there and then he just pushed me into the,
Okay. So was it at the front desk area where you originally
Yes.
saw him?
yes,
Okay. And had you seen this person before?
I remember, so yes.
And where had you seen this person
That's
before?
about a year ago,
Is it still at the motel?
yes,
And why did that person stick out in your memory?
because he tried to rob at that time.
Okay. Now, on June 6th, you said that he told you to get into the room. What room are you referring
That
to?
was the office at first,
Okay.
and then he tried to get me to my apartment, which is right in there. But I keep on delaying because my wife was in the apartment. So I keep on taking his punch.
Okay. And which apartment number were you staying in?
103.
103? Now, would you recognize that person if you saw him again?
Yes, I do.
And do you see him in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Can you describe where he's sitting and something that he's wearing?
Right there is with a blue dress.
Governor, if you recommend your identification?
Without objection or any?
Without objection, Your Honor.
Okay, the record may so reflect.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Bhatt, you said that the defendant was punching you. Was that where at on your body was he punching you?
He said lay down and then he was punching in here on my face.
So you're pointing to your chest and then your face, your eye area?
Yes.
And was he saying anything to you while he was punching you?
Uh, No, just take me to the apartment so I can get the money.
So he can get the money?
Yeah.
Did you owe him any money?
No,
Did you know what he was referring to?
no,
Okay. Now, during this time, eventually, you said he does get into room 103.
yes.
And what happens inside of room 103?
Well, then my wife was in there, so she waited for a while. And she realized there's something going on, so she called the police. And then she opened the door and he just pushed into the door.
Okay. Once he was inside the room with you and your wife, did he continue to punch you?
Yes, to me and to my wife.
Okay. And did he take anything from the room while you were in there?
Uh, No, not that I remember.
Did you give him any money at that time?
No,
Did you give him any car keys at that time?
yes,
You did give him a car
I
key?
did.
Okay. And why did you give him a car key?
I didn't give him. He just grabbed
Objection.
it.
She's leading the witness to say something. She specifically.
So your lawyer will make your objection on your behalf.
Didn't, so I wanted to
Right.
make sure.
But I can only hear objections from your lawyer. I can't hear objections from you. Did you have an objection, sir?
I didn't hear a leading question.
Okay, I didn't hear it either, but if you,
She
Yeah,
said,
if-
did he give you something? You said, I don't remember. You. She said, did he give you some car?
did is not a
She
leading
said,
question.
Did he give you some, did you give him some car keys?
Yep, right. Did is not a leading question, sir. So
Did you give him some car keys? That's a specific reason for
all
him to
right,
say.
all right.
yes.
Thank you. I'm going to overrule the objection and you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bott, why did you give the defendant your car keys?
He just asked for it, just grab it.
And did you want to give him your car key?
No, I would.
Did the defendant, aside from punching you, did he do anything else to you while he was in the room?
No, he just keep on punching in.
Were you able to leave the room?
No,
Why not?
because the door was locked and he was holding both of us.
What do you mean by holding both of you?
I'll lay down, you can't get up. So
And to be clear, did he have any sort of weapon on him that you could see?
no,
And what type of vehicle did you give him the keys to?
it's a Lincoln MKX.
And was that a physical key or a key fob or something else?
It was just a key that you can push the button and then turn off.
It's like a black square almost with
Yes.
buttons?
Right.
Okay. Now, were you injured during this assault?
Yes, I was.
Your Honor, if I may approach the witness.
You may.
Mr. Bott, I'm handing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibits 1 and 2. Do you recognize the person in those photographs?
Yes, that's myself.
And the photographs as they are taken, is that how you looked on June 6, 2022?
Yes, that's correct.
That appear to be different than how you looked at all?
No,
All right, at this point, the people would move for admittance of exhibits 1 and 2.
Okay, motion to admit pupils exhibits 1 and 2. Any objection?
I couldn't hear what she said, but I'll ask a question if you don't mind.
I guess.
Do those pictures accurately show what you look like on that day?
yes, sir.
No objection.
All right. People's exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted into evidence.
Mr. Bott, the injuries that we see in photograph number 1 and number 2, were those injuries there prior to the defendant assaulting you?
No,
May I publish those to the court?
You may. And counsel, you've had the opportunity to see these
Yes,
photos.
we've seen them.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, just to be clear, Mr. Bott, you said that you were living in the room 103 at that time?
correct.
point did the police arrive?
Yes, they did.
And where is the defendant when the police first arrived?
Was in a bedroom.
Still in apartment 103?
That used to be 101, but we can make it now to just a one bedroom. So yes, it used to be 101 apartment number, but now we don't have the number.
So am I correct to understand that the room that was 101 and the room that is 103 are now sort of
Connected.
one large room?
Corrected.
Okay,
That's a bedroom, the other one.
okay. And is there a door that separates the two on the
Yes.
inside?
Yes.
And did you invite the defendant into the second part or into that room 101?
No.
At any point during this incident, were you restrained at all?
Yeah, because he said just lay down, so that means restraint.
Okay. Nothing further.
Any cross-examination, Mr. Abbott?
Nothing further. Thank you. Nothing from the defense.
And for the record, Mr. Abbott, you had the opportunity to consult with your client.
Yes, thank you.
So so may this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Yes.
Without objection, this witness is excused. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cover?
Thank you, Your Honor. The people called Charumani bot.
Ma'am, I'm gonna have you come right up here, right in front of me. And will you please state your name and spell your last name for the record? Okay. Ma'am, I'm gonna raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury? Okay, thank you, ma'am. You can have a seat. I'm gonna have you, you can have a seat in the witness stand. I'm gonna have you speak as loud as you can because we're recording, and you can take off your mask if you want, so we can hear you. Okay, and then get as close as you can to the microphone, right here. All right, thank you, ma'am. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Bott. Can you please spell your first name for the record?
CHARUMAPI.
Thank you. Ms. Bott, where are you employed? Or what do you do for a living?
Well, that's motel and that's my motel.
And which motel is it that you own?
Super Inn.
And is that located at 910 American Road?
Yes,
That's in the city of Lansing,
yes,
Ingham County?
yes.
And were you at that motel on June 6, 2022?
Yeah, I was there.
And do you also live at the motel?
Yeah, I was inside in the room.
In which room do you live in?
It's a 103.
Now, was there a time on June 6th that you felt the need to call police?
Yeah, my husband went out and it was, I don't know, 2:30. I was sleeping. And I said, why it take this long to him? And I was keep calling him. And then there's one answer. He caught him. So he just answered and said, in my language, he said, just it's in my language, he said, get out. He said, "What is-" So I thought something is wrong. So then I called 911 and I about to leave from there. And he was in the door with my husband and holding him. And when he came in and he says, to whom you are calling? To whom you are calling? And he,
Objection, Your Honor. It's a narrative storytelling at this point.
So I'll let you rephrase the question and break it up a bit. The objection sustained.
Thank you. I'm going to back you up a little bit. You said that you were asleep and your husband had left the room. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at some point you heard your husband in your native language tell you to get out. Is that correct? Yes.
yes,
And then you said him. He was holding your husband. Did you know the person that you saw with your husband?
no, I don't know anything nearby the door.
Okay.
I was about to leave from there, you know, and I heard the noise for the keys noise.
And that was the keys to your door on room 103.
Yeah, he was
You heard that door kind of start to move?
opening the, I heard the key noise and it was opening and closing.
Okay. And
And they both are there nearby the door.
okay. And had you already called 911 at this point?
At that time already dialed,
Okay.
and by the time they answer it, and I would keep screaming and he hit me and throw my phone.
Now, the person that you saw with your husband, would you recognize that person if you saw him again?
It was the, but I can see that he was, yeah,
Do you see that person in the courtroom today?
yes,
Can you describe where he's sitting in an article of his clothing?
clothing stuff.
Today, what he's wearing today.
Today is wearing black jacket.
And is he wearing a black jacket, you said?
Yeah, I can see him. Like, with the tape.
Can you describe something else about his clothing?
White t-shirt inside.
And is he wearing a mask or not wearing a mask?
Today?
Yes.
No.
No mask.
No.
Your Honor, the record may reflect identification.
Any objection?
No, thank you.
Without objection, the witness has indicated that the defendant is wearing blue or black, depending, but the overcoat, but he should recognize the T-shirt and the fact that the witness is at council table and not wearing a mask. So the record may so reflect.
Now, Ms. Scott, you said that when the door opened, the defendant was standing there with your husband, and you said he hit you. Who hit you?
The guy, because I had a phone over here and he slammed me.
Okay, so the defendant did? Yeah, okay. And
So to whom you are calling? To whom you are calling?
did you tell him who you were calling?
And he nothing, he threw my phone down.
What happened after he threw your phone?
Keep asking the money to him and all those. And he pushing him and all those and then one point, I don't know how he beat me and all those, so my teeth also came out
Okay,
and my eyes are black and completely red. It was until 2-3 weeks. I had to go to the emergency to show and I keep telling him because he was hitting him and in the couch, he put my husband.
Objection, Your Honor.
Narrative. I'll sustain the objection. I'll let you rephrase, counsel.
Thank you.
And I was keep saying that.
Hang on, let me ask you a question, okay? Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Ms. Scott, I'm showing you what's been marked as people's proposed exhibits number 3 and 4. Can you take a look at those, please?
Yeah,
Do you recognize the person in those photographs?
it's me.
The photographs that I've shown you, were those taken on June 6, 2022?
Yes,
And do they accurately represent how you looked that night?
yes.
At this time, people would move for admittance of exhibits 3 and 4.
Motion to admit People's Exhibits 3 and 4. Any objection?
No.
Without objection, People's Exhibits 3 and 4 admitted into evidence.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Bott, the injuries that we see in those photographs, did you have those injuries prior to the defendant coming into your home?
Yes, and he hit me. That-
So the defendant caused those injuries?
Yes.
Okay,
I don't have any injury before in
Okay.
my life.
thank you. All right, may I
This
publish
thing,
those?
that is the thing.
May I publish those to the
You may.
public? Now, Spot, at any time, did you see if the defendant had a weapon on him? Any sort of a gun, a knife, or any sort of weapon? Did not see, okay. And
But after the police came and he hid in the bedroom, and there was shoes over there nearby the floor. I saw his shoes afterwards in the police. And there was nearby there one knife.
Okay. But you didn't see the defendant pull a knife to show to you or to your husband? Is that a no?
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen it.
Thank you. Now, when the defendant was inside your room 103, he was asking for money. Did you give him any money?
No, I said, we don't have money. We don't have money, and especially Sunday is the slowest day. So why you came on Sunday? We don't have money. I keep saying that to him.
Did the defendant take anything from your apartment?
Police was there, so
You didn't hand the defendant anything?
not, I didn't.
Okay. And when the police got there, where was the defendant? If you recall.
He was in 103 when the police came, and all of them was in 103, and police was knocking the door, and police, and then so I was more aggressive to go on that side. And then I told him, go and hide in the bedroom, go and hide in the bedroom. So I was wondering if I want to go to the door nearby the police.
Yes.
So somehow, for one point, he just went in.
He being the defendant went in.
He went in the room number 101. It's next.
Okay. And is it my understanding that room 101 and room 103 are connected?
Connected. It's open.
Okay, but there is a door inside that separates those, correct? Okay.
And then I believe he might lock. Police came in, and then police told us to get out. So I don't know what happened. He locked that. Or
To be clear, you did not invite him into room 103, is that correct?
oh my God. Actually, I was scared. Where is my husband? How come he didn't came in? And it was 2:30. something.
I have nothing further.
Any cross-examination?
Good morning. So was it your testimony that you heard your husband using the keys to open the door?
He was with him and making him to open the door.
But you heard your husband using the keys?
There was some noise coming and talking noise outside.
But you did hear him using the keys?
I think they're talking or using the key. I have no sound for that, but
And then at some point you told the defendant to go into room 101?
no, when the police came. So I have no choice. I was doing the action or something to go in because that way we can get out from this side. from the police because he don't opening the door. Don't let us to open the door. Because he was there.
So you sent Mr.
I went to the nearby the door and then because I was aggressive, the police was here. So I was aggressive to get out from there. And he was not allowing us to open the door.
So, so. Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Without objection, this witness is excused.
Lovely.
All right. Pam, you can leave the courtroom.
Thank you.
You're all set. Did people have any further witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor, the people call Officer Jake Ellis.
Officer Ellis, have you stand right in front of me and state your name and spell your last name for the record for the court reporter.
Jake, Jake, Ellis, Ellis.
All right. Sir, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You can have a seat, sir. You may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Ellis, where are you employed?
Lansing Police Department,
How long have you been with the Lansing Police Department?
just over 3 years.
What is your employment with the Lansing Police Department?
Patrol officer.
Were you working on the night of June 6, 2022?
Yes.
I guess the early morning hours of that day?
Yes.
And during your time at Lansing Police Department on June 6th, were you called to 910 American Road?
Yes.
What was the purpose of your response to that address?
Officers had already been there for, I don't remember the initial call, but essentially they had probable cause to arrest the subject for a violent crime. So I responded to assist.
And when you responded, where specifically within 910 American Road did you respond to?
Leave room 103, inside that room.
And inside that room, were you able to locate anybody that was hiding?
Yes.
And did you recognize the person that you located if you saw them again?
Yes.
Do you see them in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Can you describe where they're sitting in an article of their clothing?
Yes, he's in the Union County jumpsuit. The one.
Kind of record may affect identification.
Any objection? Without objection, the witness has identified the defendant.
Officer Ellis, where did you locate the defendant within the room 103 of 910 American Road?
He was hiding between a mattress and a box spring.
Was he the only person within that room?
Yes.
And when you located the defendant, what did you do?
He gave him numerous announcements, put his hands on his back, and at that point, he threw the key fob from his pocket and went to effect the arrest.
You said he threw a key fob from his pocket. Were you able to locate that key fob?
Yes.
And could you tell what kind of vehicle that went to?
Is that Lincoln?
And at some point, you said you were able to effectuate an arrest on the defendant.
Yes.
Did you locate anything else on his person?
I did not.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Any cross-examination, Mr. Abbott?
Where was the key located that you found?
It was on top of the box spring as you threw it.
And you didn't see how he actually got into that room?
No.
You weren't there when he entered the building?
No.
Thank
Hold
you.
on, hold on.
Okay, did you recover that key or did another officer recover
And I
that?
recovered the key fob and turned it over to another officer.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any redirect?
Just one question, Your Honor. Officer, let's just to be clear, the key fob that was on the box when it came initially from the defendant's pocket.
Yes, I saw him throw it.
May this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection to this witness being excused?
No,
All right. You're excused, officer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any further proofs from the people?
Yeah, I've had people call Officer Tyler Styles.
Officer Stiles, I have to stand right in front of here. For the court reporter, please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Tyler Stelgis, TYLER STELLJES.
Thank you. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the penalty of perjury. Thank you. You can have a seat. When you're ready.
Officer Styles, where are you employed?
Lansing Police Department,
And how long have you been at the Lansing Police Department?
over 5 years.
What is your capacity in the Lansing Police Department?
Patrol officer.
Were you working on June 6, 2022?
Yes,
During your shift, did you have a reason to respond to a 910 American Road
yes.
set in the city of Lansing, Ingham County? What was the purpose of your response to that address?
Unknown trouble, unknown incidents at the hotel.
When you arrived at the hotel, were you able to make contact with anybody?
Yes.
Who did you make contact with?
Male and female who are residents and the employees there, and the defendant.
And did you learn the nature of the unknown troubled subject when you got there?
Yes.
And what was the nature of the incident?
Sounded like it was a robbery.
Now you said that you were able to, you said you did locate the defendant. Can you describe who you mean as the defendant in this case, where he's sitting in an airport building?
He's sitting next to his attorney. He's wearing a blue jumpsuit with a white shirt.
Were you able to learn his name at any point? What was that name?
Along the Jones.
Have the record made of identification.
Any objection? Without objection, the witnesses identify the defendant.
Where did you locate the defendant at?
When I initially got there, we were in the hallway and the door had opened up abruptly and I saw the defendant in room 101, at which time he slammed the door. And we later located him in there.
I'm gonna back you up a little bit. You said when you originally got there, you were in the hallway. Do you mean the hallway for all of the rooms?
Yes,
Okay. And which door was open at that point?
when we first got there, we were talking with the residents of 103. While we were speaking with them, a male opened up room 101, the door, saw us, and then immediately slammed it.
And is that the interior door that connects 101 and 103 or the exterior door that connects 101 to the hallway?
This was the exterior door in the hallway.
And the man that you saw slam the door is the same man you've identified as Alonzo Jones?
Correct.
And where did you later locate Mr. Jones?
Yes,
And where did you locate him at?
underneath the mattress in room 101.
Was there anybody else inside the room of 101? And through your investigation, did you learn as to whether or not Mr. Jones had been invited into room 103?
He was not.
And through your investigation, did you learn whether or not Mr. Jones had taken anything from the residence of 103?
He had taken car keys.
Did you locate those car keys?
We did
And where were those car keys located at?
in that room.
In that room 101 or 103?
101.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination?
do you know how the keys were obtained? Car keys?
I just know they were taken from the victim.
So you did not see them taken from the victim? You didn't see them being taken from the victim, right?
I just know.
You didn't see them being found on the defendant,
I don't know.
and you didn't see the defendant enter room 101,
I didn't see him enter it. No.
and you weren't there when he entered, if he had entered room 103?
No.
And did you interview the occupants of the room 103?
Yes,
And that's contained in a police report that you created after the fact?
yes.
And it's your practice when interviewing people and writing reports to make the report as accurate as possible in terms of its contents.
Yes.
So that the statements contained in your report are your best attempt to accurately reflect what the people in the department said.
My best attempt, yes.
I don't know. And if the police responded to the incident, and if they take a report from the victim as at that present time, and it's contrary to what they're saying today, then I feel like they use this particular hearing to create the probable cause. Because, or that's the case.
Yeah. Well, eventually we get to a point where we can use what they said. Compared to what they say at the time, compared to what they told the officer, and it's.
Yeah. So he took statements. Did they ever tell him to do his job?
You want me to ask him?
Yeah. Well, I'm asking. He took the report.
Did the occupants of the hotel tell you that they had been robbed?
I don't remember them exactly saying they had been robbed.
And nothing had been taken from them?
The only thing indicated taken was the compass.
If they say how they got the key, if they say how did I get the key?
I'm not gonna ask that question.
Well, I mean, damn, how did I get the key? They never told nobody I was robbed. Well, how did I even got the key? So what they had to come here today and say all kinds of different shit. Excuse my language. You know, I
Just
got
as long as only you and counsel can hear each other. Okay,
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
all right. May this witness be excused?
Yes.
Okay, without objection, the witness is excused. The people may call their next witness.
People rest, Your Honor.
Does the defense have any proofs today?
Not today, either.
All right,
And
motion for bind over, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor. This one, people would ask for bind over on the charges in the complaint based on the testimony from all four witnesses today, Your Honor. We have that on June 6, 2022 at 910 American Drive in the city of Lansing, Ingham County. The defendant did not only enter into the place of business of both the bots, but that he did also force his way into their residence, which is room 103. The testimony from both Mr. Bott and Mrs. Bott is that both while entering in and while present inside of room 103, again, their residence, that Mr. Jones did assault both Mr. and Mrs. Bott, causing injury as portrayed on exhibits 1 through 4. That during that time, he was asking both Mr. and Mrs. Bott for money, demanding money, and when they didn't have any money to turn over to him, he demanded car keys, to which Mr. Bott complied out of fear based on his testimony, Your Honor. We have both from Mr. and Mrs. Bott that there were no weapons used, but that there was physical force used during the assault, and that law enforcement did in fact find Mr. Jones within the connecting room of 101 under a mattress with the key fob in his pocket, which he did try to discard upon being apprehended by law enforcement. So based on the clues provided today, we ask that you find over on both charges in the complaint.
Thank you, Mr. Abbott. Response to motion for bind over.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll leave to the court's discretion regarding probable cause here, but bear in mind that there was testimony that Mr. Bott himself was using the keys to open the doors. That they said at least a couple of times that nothing was taken and nothing left. There was no property removed from the parties. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a probable cause hearing, probable cause, so preliminary examination has a probable cause standard, probable cause being a lower standard than beyond a reasonable doubt, which would be the standard for conviction. So the court would look at location, offense, venue, ID, and date of the matter to begin with, and to see that the people's proofs proved beyond by a probable cause evidence. There were 4 witnesses today. That was, I'm gonna indicate C Bot, who is the male Mr. Bot, and then H Bot, which is the female bot, which is the female Miss Bot. I believe that's correct. And then there is Officer Jake Ellis was the 3rd witness, and then Officer Tyler Stiles was the fourth witness. As far as location, this all occurred at 910 American Road, City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan. It does appear that it happened in room 103, although room 101 and 103 are now combined rooms. There was testimony at probable cause level. The venue is met with the City of Lansing, Ingham County, State of Michigan. The defendant was identified, but not only by the two initial victims in the case, as they testified as witnesses, but then both officers who responded to the scene. Identification is not an issue, and this all appeared on June 6, 2022. So then we're left with the offense elements of the crime. Home invasion first requires and to break an entry, enter without permission. I believe we have an entry without permission, at least a forced entry on some level in regards to the initial contact with Mr. Bott, located at 910 American Road in room 103. While he was entering in, present in, or exiting, did assault Mr. Bott, and we have not only testimony from Mr. Bott, but exhibits 1 and 2 indicate the injuries of the person who was identified as the defendant who assaulted Mr. Bott while entering or while present in the dwelling. And there was both victim testimony as to Mr. Bott, and then subsequent testimony as to Miss Bott concerning an assaultive practice of hitting and making him lie down while they were lawfully present in the apartment that they lived in as owners of the apartment complex. So I find there's probable cause evidence to believe that home invasion first as by elements was proven by the two witnesses and then the two witnesses that responded to the scene, that being both officers who identified the defendant. And more to the second point, which is count 2, I find that the location was met at 910 American Road at the venue of City of Lansing, Ingham County. Identification made and date was on June 6, 2022, and that the defendant did at that time commit the crime of unarmed robbery at a probable cause level when he placed Mr. Bott in fear by physically having Mr. Bott turn over the keys, not only while assaulting him, but after assaulting him. And the keys to the Lincoln were turned over. Spoke about a fob that would indicate that it was not a key, but a fob key, or a car that something that had to be present to start the vehicle. Of course, the defendant never got that far because the officers were able to respond and were able to catch the defendant while he was in. One officer, the third witness, actually indicated that he actually saw the officer toss the key onto a bed or a type of bed in his presence. So I find that at a probable cause level, count 2, unarmed robbery, did in the course of committing a larceny of car keys, assault or put a person in fear or present, which is evident by the exhibits and by the testimony. C-Bot and H-Bot, contrary to the law of the state of Michigan, I find that there's probable cause to believe that the crime of unarmed robbery has occurred, and I will bind over the case to circuit court as charged. So it's bound over on all counts as charged. The next date, sir, will be in circuit court. Continue to contact Mr. Abbott concerning any procedure up there. That'll be at a different level. That's a different standard. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. This is just a probable cause case, a probable cause standard. Anything else from the people in regards to this file?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Anything, Mr. Abbott?
No, thank you.
All right. So your next court will be in circuit court. Your next date will be in circuit court. That's all for the record in 21-01488.